Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Nice meeting you all. So today we're going to talk about first-party data. So I'm Jeffrey. I run a digital and CRM agency headquartered in Hong Kong. And also, please welcome Stephanie from SAP.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from SAP.
Yep, so this is the first step where we'll actually talk about what first-party data is. So please complete a survey and then give us some feedbacks, and then hooray, you'll get a Haagen-Dazs ice cream to welcome the coming summer. So today we'll talk about first-party data. So first of all, let's get a dip into what's the current trend and what will be coming up in the ads world. So a lot of you guys might already know there are a lot of privacy changes to the major platforms, including the iOS changes, the iOS 14, which we hear about often. It's about the IDFA changes, which previously when we want to to track users from a mobile device to other conversions, there is something called IDFA, identifier for advertisers, that we can actually match up like the users from different platforms, and then we can measure the conversion and what kind of interaction they do on each platform, and which sadly this is going to be changed soon. So they're getting rid of the IDFA, so that actually affects all advertisers and publishers as well. And this is not just for iOS. Even Google is going to go into what we call non-cookies world. We have been hearing cookies a lot for advertisers about tracking performances. And also Chrome, one of the major web browsers in the market, is going to get rid of cookies in the future as well. So how do we tackle this? Even some of the big players out there, Facebook has published released a full page ad on some of the major newspaper in the U.S. saying like they have doubts about these changes and how it can affect a lot of small businesses which depend on their advertising platform to target to give out like precise targeting to a lot of small, medium-sized, or even like large corporates out there. So with the result is with all the changes that I mentioned, we'll definitely see a decrease in terms of the quality of ads performance, because we don't have that kind of luxury to track users with IDFA or cookies in the future. And for publisher, it might be a bad news for them as well, as we anticipate the conversion cost or the acquisition cost will increase with the effects on the targeting. So of course there are a lot of technical stuff that we can do to tackle these issues, including like for example, now with the tracking codes in place, we can track directly users going from for example, a web browser into an apps installation or any apps activities. In the future, we might have to set up another what we call transit hub in between, that we can track web activities. And also it affects how we measure the efficiency or performance of our ads as well, because no longer we can track the exact same user from one place to another. So we have to use another measuring techniques, which we measure the increase of traffic or increase of the difference between two different time frame. But with that, we have been doing this kind of measurement with offline, with OOH ads in the traditional in the past. Now we probably have to use this in the future as well. But there are some notes that we have to be concerned about as well. Like for example, we have to get rid of the outliers. We have to be concerned about pay attention to the seasons, and also we have to set up control groups to make sure that we're comparing the appropriate numbers. But that's only to me, in my opinion, that's only a temporary remedies to the root of the problem. In order to tackle, which I also believe this will just intensify in the future, because a lot of people are more concerned about data privacy, about the kind of data they give out to different platforms. So in the future, I think in the no cookies world, first-party data becomes a necessity to the brands and also to a lot of platforms as well. So let's talk about what's we probably hear a lot about first-party data, third-party data, but actually what those are. So put it simple, first-party data refers to data that the brand collects directly from consumers, customers. So with those data, the quality is the highest. You have the highest trust in those data. You know where they come from. You make sure they come from real customers. Second-party data is the data that other brands or other organizations acquire directly. So, for example, there is a joint promotion between brand A and brand B. Then, if brand A gets additional data from brand B, then that will be a second-party data. Somehow the data is of good quality as well, because brand B actually acquired the data directly as well. So the last is the third-party data. Third-party data is somewhere that the brand acquired data from, but the data is actually not being acquired directly by that vendor as well. For example, if we get data if a brand plays advertisement on Facebook platform, Facebook data is a second-party data, because Facebook directly acquires those data from its own consumer. But however, if Facebook depend on they depend on external source of data through the IDFA, that will be a third-party data. So example of the third-party data would be like the example I say, like we do ad placement, a vendor provide us a list of data that they have in their own database, but they further extend the data source by using another external source of data, for example, census data. So we know, for example, we have a list of addresses of the consumers. Now we make use of census data that we're able to tell like the address that they live in, whether it's will correspond to a luxury family or more grassroots family. Those will be third-party data. So this gives us a more clear picture of the differentiation between first-party and third-party data, which, of course, first-party data is the highest quality, but they also face another issue. First-party data also is smaller in scale. That's the biggest reason why a lot of brands, they go to other third-party to get data. It's because they find a hard time to acquire data. So as you can see, when we move along the graph, you see third-party data, of course, being the largest in terms of amount of data that we can get, but at the same time, the accuracy and the confidence goes down. So, but I don't think even in the future we still need to depend on second-party or third-party data, but probably they play a different role. So they probably will enhance our first-party data in terms of the depth, in terms of the different attribute that we cannot get directly from our consumers, that will depend on third-party data. And also we can predict trends with third-party data and also improve the targeting. So we talk about a lot about first-party data and how important first-party data it is. So always we come with a question like, so how do we get more first-party data? So I'll just list out a few some of the case study that we did before. Like, so I think the golden rule is never limit yourself in terms of getting first-party data from consumers. For example, this is a case that we did. We complete the whole e-commerce cycle on a social platform on Facebook, on a Facebook chatbot. So in the past, probably we place advertisement on one platform, let's say the social platform, and then we divert consumers into different e-commerce sites or whatnot. The problem is with the switching from platform to platform, we actually lose a lot of tracking capabilities and data in that process. So now we should aim to complete the whole cycle within the same platform in a way that we can get more data and we don't lose any data during the process. Another thing is to connect the dots between the offline world and the online world. Actually, by saying offline and online world, it makes myself feel a little bit old already, because nowadays I think we don't talk about offline and online. We can't tell the difference between online and offline anymore. Most of the time, when a consumer is in an offline store, they are 99% online as well on their mobile phone. So how do we connect the dots? And for example, this is a case where the consumers actually give us a lot of first-party data through a registration on a chatbot, and then they visit one of the vending machines that we set up along different locations in Hong Kong, and then they get a pack of free red packets. So in this campaign, we actually get a lot more consumer data, first-party data, compared to in the traditionally we lead the consumers to a retail branch, and probably they get the gift from a staff, which there is no efficient way that we can get additional data. Another way to acquire more first-party data is through customer service. So besides marketing activities, I think customer service is truly a place where you find a lot of gold inside. For example, a customers make inquiry, or a customers even make complaint to your brand. It actually tells you a lot about the personality, the preference of that consumer. So with the help of chatbot, it actually makes customer service easier and more approachable. And also with NLP technologies, we can even give out taggings to each consumer or each conversation automatically by what we call a language processing system. That the system can give out tags, like for example, like what kind of products this user is interested in, and then we can further input that kind of extra piece of information to the CRM. So you see a power of pros. I will pass it to our guest Stephanie to talk about, with this massive pile of clothes, how we can tidy it up, and with the help of the modern technology system, how can we do it? I'll pass it on to Stephanie.
Thank you. So it's just a metaphor. What we're looking at this is, imagine all these clothes on the floor is your company's data. You will get first-party data all over, second-party is third-party, and imagine that you need to find which customers, what segments from this pile of clothes. I think Jeffrey just made a really strong and clear point just now, is first-party data is the priority. We need to start collecting it. But the problem it brings to most of the brands is they don't have a systematic way to consolidate all the data. And it turns out all these data is just all over their silos. Like this lady in the middle, when you need to find your clothes, then you don't know where to start. Today, I'm going to talk about how the solution or technology is supposed to help the brand and also the customers to see the transparency of the data. And for a brand itself, how are you going to see where and when to ask more data from our customers, when to ask for more consent, and what kind of data you have in control that you can use. So we'll do a little role play here. Imagine you have Alex, who represents the customer, and Sarah represents the brand. So it could be a marketing officer, it could be a data owner, it could be IT, whoever from the brand. So the setting of today is we have Alex. He is a coffee lover. He wants to buy coffee from an e-commerce shop. And before he starts, he just realized he doesn't know much about the brand. So he would like to just subscribe to a newsletter. This is the first touch point that he gives the brand the data. So in an ideal world, when a customer leaves you a data, what should a brand see and what can they do about the data that Alex gives out? In a brand, the solution itself should help the brand to see as a big list. So you'll be able to see a list of customers that gives you the consent for the newsletter, and you'll also be able to go into each single profile to see what kind of data that Alex gives out. And at the end of the day, your data and your privacy terms, it all needs to be updated. So the solution should help you to just send out a bulk notification to customers whenever you need to update the terms and conditions. The next item is when the customer feels more interested and more comfortable with the brand, they're willing to register with you as a member. So we call it a full registration. So in the ideal world, there are quite a few ways to register as a member. You can register through social media channels. You just logged in via social media channels. Or you can create a name, a password. You give your consent to the brand. In this screen, you can see when a customer is giving you the data, the brand itself also comes out and asks them, what kind of consent are you willing to give to us? So at this point, a brand itself, you can manage how many channels of social medias you allow the customer to register through. And at the same time, you will be able to see the full profile of a customer's. The next step is, once at the point that you see the customer is willing to engage with you, they're disclosing their names, they log in via social medias, they give you good consent to receive the digital communication preferences, then the marketing team, they will have full access to which person they can reach out to, and they can start to act on some e-commerce pop-up windows, asking the preferences, what do you like to hear from us? And in this case, in the ideal scenario, again, we are asking Alex, what types of coffee do you like? What types of flavors? Are you looking for a one-off? Are you looking for coffee beans? And Alex is willing to give out his preference because he is willing to understand and he sees the transparency of how he can control his own preference and consent towards the brand. And at the end of the day, of course, when he goes up to the website, what he sees is the pop-up of his first priority preferences. And at this stage, we have his full registration, we have his consent. A brand, you will be able to select a list of customers based on their preference, based on their consent, and you will be able to export that out for whatever marketing purpose. Or in the modern world, we have a lot of brands that have sub-sites. So it could be a brand that sells clothes, but at the same time, they have another website that sells shoes. And these could go together. The mother company itself can enjoy the benefit of having a fully registered customers. And when they go to a sub-site, you can pop up a window and ask them, hey, we already have your consent. Do you agree that your consent should be used by this brand as well? So here we are talking about how sub-brands can co-use of their data. And I would like to do a little bit of comparison here. So before we have a solution that helps you to consolidate all the data and also to consolidate of your customer consent, you will have the close of lady in the middle just now. But right now, you will have customers A and customer B, just like a wardrobe. The solution itself, the technology itself, is like a wardrobe. It helps you to organize and also to segment the customers in the right way. So key takeaways?
Yep. So I guess the key takeaway is, let me recap a little bit. So with the changing environment of the app platforms, we are getting less and less third-party data from different publishers. So it actually pushes us to a time that we need to acquire our own data, our own first-party data, in order to target consumers in the future, and how we can increase touch point. Like for example, probably a lot of brands will say all the data that I can get from consumers are only email address and names or even phone numbers. But I think when we talk about first-party data, it's actually it's much more than that. It talks about it actually refers to preferences that your consumer has, different behaviors, practices, like what kind of social media platform they are on, when is the last time that they visit your store, not just make purchase, but when is the next the previous time they visit your store. Especially in the e-commerce world, you'll get even more consumer data. For example, a consumer, if they just walk into your physical brick and mortar store, you probably won't notice, but in the e-commerce world, you definitely know. And also, I think consumer privacy is a big thing and coming up. I think it's kind of a retro thing that happens now. In the past, probably we are fascinated by the precise targeting, remarketing that technologies allowed us to do. For example, like you visit an online travel agency and then all of a sudden you go onto Facebook and then you see the same hotel ad. So there was one time that we were very amazed by this technology, but now I think a lot of people have concerns over privacy. So I think we have to pay respect to it, and also I think we have to stay on top of app platform updates. When we talk about iOS 14 updates, although there are a lot of small details, blueprints that are being released, but actually it's not. We are all not, even us practitioners in this industry, are not totally 100% clear about what kind of changes will be activated in the future. So stay on top of all the news and talk with the agencies. You make sure you plan ahead of time. I think that's the key takeaways. Yep.
So from my side, it's pretty simple. If you're talking about first-party data, then you need to give the customers choice. So they would need to trust your brand, which is in return, you need to give them the transparency. With that, I would believe that you need a solution behind to combine all your behavioral data, all your transactional data, customers' first-party data, as well as the consent preferences, which bear in mind it will change at any second. So that sums up our...
Great, thank you. So I see we have some questions coming from the audience behind the screen. I think the first question is, how can SME actually adapt to this first-party data adoption, and what are the ways, and what is the range of prices that will be involved? Yeah, I think this not just apply to big corporations or big brands. Like earlier in the presentation, Facebook actually made a statement to the public, say these changes will actually affect a lot of small, medium business, because they depend a lot on precise ad targeting, so that they can make the best use out of the limited marketing dollars that they have. I think that it doesn't have to be that complicated. Even smaller, medium-sized brands can even, honestly, they can set up the CRM or customer database with just a simple Excel. Of course, that's not the best solution when you start to accumulate a large amount of data. But even with Excel, you can start building your own CRM, and you can start building your expanding the data of your consumers. Like every time they come in, whatever questions that they have, whatever inquiry or interaction that you have with your consumer, find a way how you can record them into your database, so that each time you interact with them, you actually know more about. It's just like a friend that you meet. Like each time you meet with your friend, every dinner that you have with your friend, you know more about your friend. I think it's the same analogy. And also think about simple, like giveaway campaigns that you can collect first-party data, or even like referral programs, which is quite effective with small, medium-sized business as well, especially when you build a rapport with your loyal customers. They become your salesperson for word of mouth to promote your brand as well.
So it's kind of aligned with the first question we get here. Do we see the trend of a company that will offer more promotion and benefits in exchange to obtain the consumer data? In fact, we are already doing that. So if you look at the screen on the top corner, you see that QR code. If you scan that and give out the feedback, which is you giving us consent of your first-party data, then in return, we are offering you a $50 HKTDC coupon. So I would believe that each customer or each brand, each customer has a price tag on it. It's regarding to how much you're willing to offer to obtain that first-party data. So that is something that all brands need to think in, in terms of the marketing strategies.
Or even when it comes to e-commerce or digital channels, I think the cost of communication is getting lower and lower as well. In the past, if we want to get more information from communications from the consumer, probably you have to send out direct mail, or we have to wait until we see them in the store. But now we can contact them through like chatbots, online surveys, scanning a QR code, or even like if they install your membership apps, you can push notifications to them. Even sometimes, of course, Haagen-Dazs ice cream voucher works quite well, but even without that, I think from time to time, greetings that send out from brands, ask them how are they doing during the COVID. I think you can get more information from the consumer as well. And remember, it's not print paper era anymore. So make sure every time you communicate with your consumer, it's a two-way communication. There's a way that they can give you feedbacks. Yep, I think that's. Let me see if we have more questions coming in. I think one of the things that we can talk about with the IDFA being removed, like how is it going to affect the ad effectiveness? I think I can talk a little bit more about that as well, because in the past, so how it works is when you log onto like a social media platform, for example, Facebook or Instagram, if you use an Apple iPhone, iPhone will actually automatically give Facebook a hash key, a identifier that actually corresponds to this exact mobile phone. So when that user leaves Facebook apps and go into other application or other websites, Apple will give exactly the same hash IDFA to that portal as well. So now you can match whether that two hashed key matches. If that matches, actually you know that's the exact the user. So in a way, we can give out very precise targeting, and we can track the exact behaviors, interaction that happen on your own platform. So without that, we cannot know the exact details of that activities anymore. So this is how it's going to affect ad targeting. So I think we have a last questions, right? Any forecast trend of this seamlessly to identify data of the users with the intent, like the Alex scenario copy? Oh, Alex, I think that's the question for you, Steph.
Forecast trend. It's a mindset changing. So you're talking about you want to get the customer's first-party data, but also he wants to give it to you. It's not that, even though you give out the $50 coupon or whatsoever, they might not want it. So I think, first of all, you will need to know the trend is change your mindset. You cannot just ask them for the data when they're not willing to, or they're not even attracted to the brand. So you're not buying the customer's data when they don't want it. So if they want it, they will just give it to you at whatever easiest channel. Another trend that I see is just have as many touch points as possible and have them connected, because when you have more connected touch points, it's easy for the customers to give you their feedback. When they think of your brand, they see it, it's easy for them to, you know, not have a way for them to reach out. It takes them time to find out where you are. That's the two top trends.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think in the consumer-centric world, I think we have to be concerned about whether the users want to give out data to us. So I think same with all other marketing. Content is king, even in CRM marketing. So what are the messages that we are delivering to consumers? How we can make the consumers comfortable with the data that they give out, and make sure that the data is not shared with any third party. I think that's important as well. So yeah, even with CRM or data marketing, content is still king. Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. So we hope in the coming in the future, make good use of first-party data and make it your first priority. Thank you so much.